What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy, and I'm going to be doing my review for the 1997 movie, The Lost World Jurassic Park. So, in this movie, Ian Malcolm gets sent to Site B, which is Isla Sorna, by John Hammond. He's having people go out there to study the dinosaurs and stuff, and at first Ian doesn't want to go, but he finds out that John had already sent his girlfriend out there, so he goes because he wants to try to get her off the island. And they find out that there are some people there that are trying to hunt the dinos and capture them so they can bring them to the mainland for the arena thing that they have in San Diego. And the hunt's led by Roland, played by Pete Postlewaite, and Peter Ludlow, played by Arliss Howard, is like the new CEO of InGen, who's wanting to open this new park thing. He's like the nephew of John Hammond. But things end up going wrong, and they all end up getting stuck on the island where they have no ways of communicating, and they have to band together to try to survive the island and get to where they can get help and stuff. This movie is pretty good. It's definitely not near as good as the first movie though, but I do enjoy this one quite a bit. It still has a lot of fun moments. Jeff Goldblum is really good as Ian Malcolm again, although I will say that Ian Malcolm in this movie is nothing like he is in the first movie and everything. He like just has a different personality. He's still sarcastic and stuff at times, but he seems a lot different in this movie, and I'm guessing it's because they had to make him the main character. They had to do a lot of changes to him. And then you got Julianne Moore playing his girlfriend Sarah, and she's really good as the character, but she is one of the biggest idiots in the entire franchise. Her and Vince Vaughn, played by Nick, they're both really likable characters and stuff, but they do a lot of really dumb stuff in this movie. I was gonna say franchise, but they're only in this movie just this movie, and they're not even the dumbest characters in this franchise. But they are two of the biggest idiots. I get why they wanted to help the baby T-Rex and stuff, but why not just go back, get the medical stuff, and take care of him right there instead of taking him to the camp? That was one of the dumbest decisions in this movie, and it's not even the dumbest thing that happened here. There's a scene when the T-Rex is chasing a bunch of people, and they get behind this waterfall, and this dude has a snake go into his shirt, and he starts freaking out because he has a snake in his shirt and walks right into the T-Rex's mouth. That scene always cracks me up. It's like, you freaking idiot. I'm like, I don't like snakes either, and I know I probably would have been freaking out, but I'm not going to just walk into a T-Rex's mouth to get rid of the snake. That's just really idiotic. But it was absolutely hilarious. Every time I watch that scene, it cracks me up. And Arliss Howard plays Peter Ludlow, and I think he's an okay villain. He's kind of generic and stuff, and we get to see pretty much other characters that are like him in this franchise. There's pretty much a copycat character in both Jurassic World movies that are pretty much just like him. And then you got Vanessa Lee Chester, who plays Ian's daughter, Kelly, and I actually think she's really good. I really like her in here. I know a lot of people don't like her and say she was annoying and stuff, and she's the one that does the little acrobatic thing and kicks a raptor out of the window. But I actually like that scene. I always thought it was kind of cool. Realistic, probably not, but cool, yeah. And then you got Richard Schaeff as the unsung hero of this movie and franchise, Eddie Carr, that poor dude was such a good friend. He just gave his life to save everybody for being idiots. The only one in that scene besides, or that wasn't really an idiot, was Ian Malcolm and everything, and he could, but like he just saved them and stuff when the T-Rexes attacked the camp, and they act shocked and stuff that they were being attacked. Like, what do you expect? You take their baby and you don't cover its mouth most of the time where it's crying, where they can hear it throughout most of the time they have it. So of course they're gonna get attacked. But Eddie gives his life trying to save them, and really heroic moment, and he's an unsung hero of this movie. And I also think it's kind of ironic that his name is Eddie Carr and he dies in a car. I thought that was kind of funny, but yeah, the story is pretty well written, and there are a lot of intense scenes and stuff, especially with when the T-Rex attacks the camp and everybody's trying to get away, and it leads up to that waterfall scene. That was a pretty intense scene, and the stuff with the camp was intense. And the raptors were pretty intense. There's a lot more raptors in this movie than there was the first one. But it wasn't as it wasn't as effective. Like this movie didn't have me as feeling as intense and stuff as the first one does, but it still is a lot of fun to watch and everything. And also, like, the little things, the little compy, I think is what they're called, that when they attack that guy, that was a pretty cool scene and stuff, pretty brutal and everything. I think it's jacked up, like he's calling for help from the guy who he had asked to keep an ear out in case he got lost or whatever, and the guy's just sitting there listening to his music. It's like, yeah, that's exactly why if I went to an island with dinosaurs, I would not take my brother, because if I were to try to go pee and stuff, he'd be just sitting there listening to his music, and I'd be getting ate by compies. But this movie is a lot of fun, though. It's not near as good as the first, and it isn't as fast-paced either. Like, once it gets going, it's pretty fast-paced, but it does take a little bit. And I also love, like, the scene when they have all the dinosaurs locked in cages, and Nick and Sarah let them out, and they attack the camp. That was a pretty fun scene, and everything. And the visual effects in here are really good. They're just as good as they were in the first Jurassic Park. Now, I think it actually had even more practical dinos and stuff in this one than the first one did, but it also had a lot more CGI too, but the CGI holds up really well. Same with the first Jurassic Park. You can tell that they did have some years in advance on the CGI and everything. It does kind of look a little bit better in this one, but just because it had more of an advance in technology, but it still looks really great. And I really enjoy this movie. It is kind of underrated. I get why a lot of people don't like it, because it is a big step down from the first one, but at the same time I also don't get why people don't like it, because it is still a really fun movie, and Spielberg did a really great job directing it. I will say that John Williams' score is, while it's still great, it's definitely not near as good as the first one. It doesn't have that epic feel and stuff that the first one did, but it's still good enough. And Jananzu Kaminsky, who did the cinematography for Schindler's List, did the cinematography for this movie. And as much as I love Dean Condi's cinematography in the first movie, I actually really liked the cinematography in this movie even more. Like, this one has like some of the best cinematography in the franchise and everything. I can't deny that. That's one thing that this movie does have that's a little bit better than the first one. But that's really it or as far as that goes. But all in all, I think The Lost World Jurassic Park is a fun movie. Jurassic Park is one of those movies that didn't have to have a sequel and everything, let alone become a franchise, but I'm actually really glad it did, because even though none of them are after the first one are ones I would call masterpieces. This is just a fun franchise, and I love watching these movies. They're fun, turn your brain off movies after the first one, and just really entertaining. And the first one, to an extent, is a turn your brain off movie, but and everything. But that one feels more intense and everything, and it's in a class of its own. But all the sequels are fun too. Except for maybe Jurassic Park 3, which I'll talk more about that in my review, because I have a lot of mixed feelings on that movie. But yeah, so the Lost World Jurassic Park, I'd say I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10, because it's definitely not as good as the first, but it's still really entertaining, and I can always watch it. Usually when I watch the first one, I watch all of them and everything. This is one of those franchises I don't really ever skip any of the movies, and but if I do just want to watch just one movie in the franchise, it'd be the first one. But most of the time I just watch all of them. I enjoy this movie quite a bit. So but anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of the Lost World Jurassic Park, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.